This is going to be a very serious situation for Mr. Pillman as the Truth Commission makes their way to the ring, led by the Commandant, as we go up to the feet.
The following six-man tag team match is scheduled for one fall. About to enter the ring, led by the Commandant from South Africa, at a tournament weight of 1,047 pounds, the Truth Commission. Their opponent, at a tournament weight.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Truth Commission making their Shotgun Saturday night debut here in six-man tag team action. And as you can probably tell, I am going the rest of this broadcast solo, as my broadcast colleague Brian Pillman, as we said, has been escorted out of the arena by the local police. But we would like for you to hear these pre-recorded comments made by the Commandant of the Truth Commission.
I am a Commandant, the commanding officer of the Truth Commission from South Africa. Me and my commandos have come to America to remind all of you of what a great nation America really was. You idiots have turned nature upside down. You have given unlimited rights to everyone. The Truth Commission has come to remind you that nature has decreed there will always be leaders and those who must be dominated. We will prove our superiority when we smash your so-called athletes right before your very eyes.
Well, that Yahoo's not going to be too popular here in the WWF with that attitude. Even though we're extremely popular in South Africa, it is Tank of the Truth Commission, the masked man, starting it out here. And this Truth Commission, certainly some big beef here. This guy has got to be 400 pounds in the ring. And again, we said here, and don't want to digress from the debut of the Truth Commission, but we are essentially in shock here. This crowd is in shock after Brian Pillman, a broadcaster on Shotgun Saturday night, attacks a fan, pulling the young man over the railing to the ringside area. And there is absolutely no doubt that Mr. Pillman is going to find himself in deep, deep trouble, not only from WWF officials, but perhaps from the young man as well. One would think that there's a lawsuit pending here. And the Commandant, not too pleased that in the early going here, Big Tank is being taken off his feet, but I don't know to exactly how much effect that's going to have. And downstairs goes the masked man. Certainly chaos has reigned, not only with the debut of the DOA last Monday when they attacked the Nation of Domination, the ensuing attack, Ahmed Johnson gets injured. Ahmed Johnson's knee operated on Thursday, and now Ahmed Johnson will not be in the WWF title match next Sunday in Calgary on pay-per-view. It will be Vader, oh my, meeting The Undertaker as Recon. With a nice move there, which brings a smile to the face of the Commandant. And now look at this man. This has got to be a 7-footer. The interrogator, at least 7 feet tall, well over 300 pounds, and a very deliberate attack being forged by the South African Truth Commission. And look at this guy. Huge neck, big man, this interrogator with a clothesline right to the corner. So we've got Ahmed Johnson out. Psycho Sid was hospitalized earlier in the week due to a back injury that he sustained in the car wreck we've told you about that happened a couple of weeks ago that Sid was involved in. So Psycho Sid, who was due to be back in action this Monday in Des Moines, Iowa, is going to be out of action for an indeterminate length of time now. Of course, also Monday, 2 semifinal matchups in the WWF Tag Team Tournament. The Headbangers meet Owen Hart and the British Bulldog, and the LOD will take on the new nation of domination. As we get closer to a tag team title matchup with the winner of the tournament meeting Stone Cold Steve Austin and a partner of his choice. And will it be Shawn Michaels? That's a big question. Shawn Michaels' situation with the WWF and his injuries still somewhat up in the air, but we do expect Shawn back in the next few weeks. And the Tank, using that tremendous body weight and mass for a counter, again tagging in the Interrogator. And the Interrogator with a sidewalk slam. And the Truth Commission from South Africa have won this battle and have been very dominant. We've had our own version of the War Zone here tonight, in and out of the ring. And the Commandant, no doubt looking for bigger wars to fight here, as we go back and take another look at a very impressive six-man tag team combination. The 7-footer, the Interrogator with a sidewalk slam. And you gotta wonder, what's going to be the status of Brian Pillman? Is he going to be out of the WWF? We'll find out Monday night. Good night, everybody. Well, whatever you do, folks, don't be left out. Call your cable company now and order the Canadian Stampede tomorrow night on pay-per-view. Here comes the Truth Commission.
Six-man tag team match is scheduled for one fall. Approaching the ring, led by the Commandant, at a combined weight of 978 pounds, the Truth Commission. Their opponent at a combined weight of 697 pounds, the team of Kevin Flynn, Steele, and Adam O'Brien.
Well, folks, we're ready for six-man tag team action here, and certainly what more can be said about the Undertaker situation. I've just got to believe, James E. Cornette, that the Undertaker has thought all week about his brother, where is his brother, the whole family situation, and has thought very little about defending the WWF title tomorrow night on pay-per-view against Vader.
And what a crossroads the Undertaker has to be at, because in his hands, his most prized possession, what he has wanted for so long, the WWF title, but now suddenly it pales in comparison to the fact that he still has a family member alive, if he believes Colbert.
The Commandant, not the most popular individual here in the arena this week. The South African Truth Commission, comprised of 4 members now. Sniper, the newest member, added to the Truth Commission, and that will be Recon, starting out in this six-man tag team matchup against Adam O'Brien.
And you know, he may not be a new member, he's just new to us. I've heard tales that the Commandant in South Africa has dozens of these guys. It's like a militia that he's formed, and he trains them and drills them every single day.
Certainly we've seen a lot of gang warfare on Monday nights on the War Zone, and it looks as if the Commandant is readying his troops, so to speak, for some wars on Monday night. And what a clothesline there, right in the throat of Adam O'Brien. Wow. This Recon looks to be about 6'7", maybe 6'8", a big man. Sunset flip there. And O'Brien using a little bit of quickness.
O'Brien is opening up, and he better keep the pressure on, because if he doesn't, he's going to be cooked. Take a look at this again. What's the impact? He almost knocked him out with that right hand.
O'Brien's knees buckled on impact, and now the tag has been made. It's going to be Kevin Flynn being tagged in. And Recon going the entire way thus far for the Truth Commission.
Well, Recon's doing exactly what his name implies. He's checking out the enemy and seeing what they got.
Big foot right to the face. And certainly that will change the complexion not only of the young man's face, but of the match as well.
You know, JR, you can't come to the WWF alone anymore. You got to bring some friends. We've got the Nation of Domination, the Disciples of Apocalypse, the Truth Commission, the Boricuas that we're going to see later on. I mean, this is getting serious, gang style.
And certainly not to leave out the Hart Foundation, maybe the most powerful gang of them all. And what a move there.
Wow.
That's a Sniper in there. We're seeing him for the first time here with the South African Truth Commission. And this is another big man. Looks to be 6'5", maybe 6'6". And a pump handle slam. A lot of high impact stuff. And here comes a 7-footer.
Business just picked up, JR.
You're not
this
kidding.
guy, he is unbelievable, and look at the way he moves.
The interrogator, through the neck, through the shoulders of this freak of nature. He's got to be 7 feet tall if he's an inch.
He has no neck. His head goes straight into his chest.
A hip block throw back into the corner. And Chris Steele now will try his luck on the 7-foot interrogator of the South African Truth Commission.
Look at this. Everything the guy throws at him, he's standing there and taking it and asking for more. This interrogator, if I knew a secret, I'd tell him if he asked.
A headbutt that knocks down Steele by the interrogator. And certainly the commandant.
God, look at that face.
Despicable human being. Hope nobody's having a late night snack on that one.
I believe it. It may come back up.
And O'Brien comes in. And look at the strength. Ooh. This giant of a man, the interrogator, now making the tag again to Sniper. Of course, the masked man, Tank, whoa, more or less, I guess, the bodyguard for this week of the commandant.
From what I've heard about the commandant, he needs somebody watching his back at all times.
O'Brien with a head and shoulder fake, across body, but only got one that time. The Truth Commission really hasn't been in any serious trouble thus far in this 6-man tag team matchup.
But I'll tell you what, O'Brien's got an opening now, and he better make the most of it.
O'Brien runs right into another foot, ducks the clothesline, comes back with a right hand.
Kid's got guts.
I'll tell you what, tomorrow night on pay-per-view will be a gut check. 10-man tag team action. Somebody, I just got a gut feeling, is going to be carried out of the Canadian Saddledome, the Calgary's Saddledome, for the Canadian Stampede on pay-per-view.
Watch this. What do they do? Ducks him. Whoa!
Big sidewalk slam. And that 7-footer putting the exclamation point on this 6-man tag team matchup. If it's gang warfare you want on Monday nights, it's gang warfare you're going to get. America, blood on its blood.
The Commandant's got to be happy. The Truth Commission with authority of victory. Watch this. O'Brien evades one man, but he couldn't get out of the way of the other one. If the right one don't get you, JR, the left one will.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you something. We talked about gang warfare. We mentioned the Boricuas. Well, Savio Vega is the leader of the Boricuas. We know Savio was fired from the Nation of Domination, as was Crush. Well, we know Crush has formed the Disciples of Apocalypse. But Savio has retaliated as well. Savio Vega, this past Monday night on Raw, introduced us all to his new...
Man, Shawn Michaels looking a bit depressed there. Talking about depression, what about New York Mets pitcher Pete Harnish coming back from clinical depression? Had a great outing his first day back in 4 months pitching for the Mets.
I'll say this, I don't follow baseball because after all, I think it's a sport for wussies. However, if he's depressed, I've got a quick cure. Move out of New York City, you idiot! Anybody would be depressed that lives there.
What is wrong with New York City? There's so much stuff to do. I'll tell you what, the Truth Commission...
Yeah, there's so much stuff to do. Dodge horrible drivers. Dodge acts of terrorism. Breathe pollution. Get mugged. There's all kinds of things to do in New York. I love it.
There's so much to do. You could go to Shea Stadium to see the Mets. You could go over to Madison Square Garden on September 22nd for Raw is War. I mean, it doesn't get any better than the Big Apple.
I'll admit there's a worm in that apple. I'll admit you can go to the Garden on September 22nd. Yeah, that you can do. That's worth it. But nothing else going on in New York is worth the traffic it takes to get to and from it.
Here we go now with the Truth Commission. They really liked New York City. They told me back in the locker room area, said one of the reasons they came to the World Wrestling Federation was so they could show off their technique, their wrestling ability in the mecca of the world, the Big Apple.
Yeah, watch who you're poking there, Michael. I'm going to tell you this. They're going to show off their ability anywhere they step foot in the ring, because that's just how good these guys are.
Hey, I'm from New York City area. You didn't mention that. Another reason to be here.
Another reason to not like New York City. You better watch your step when we get to Louisville, my old hometown, on September 7th for Ground Zero. I'll take you around and show you the sights if you're lucky.
Here's the Truth Commission now. This is Recon locking up with Jack Hill, tossing him back to the canvas. The Eddie Van Halen lookalike from the team of Faust Hill and Zoltan Bigg.
Faust, Hill, and Bigg. And they're going to go down quick, hard, and brutally.
Here's Recon now, 6'6", close to 300 pounds. The other member of the Truth Commissions are Sniper. He goes about 6'5", and then the Interrogator at 7 foot. Ooh, what a kick upside the head. Recon in control over Jack Hill, and there's the Commandant outside the ring. He loves what he sees from Recon.
Standing drop kick. Wow, what agility for a man that size.
Here comes Sniper now. This is Sniper. He goes about 6'5", but he looks small compared to the other guys.
You know, the Commandant has drilled these guys with military precision. They work out, they train, they drill, they march, and they wrestle almost 24 hours a day.
Here's Sniper now working on Jack Faust. I'm sorry, it's George Faust as he tosses Santa Claus across the ring.
He looks more like Jack Frost.
Oh, man.
The point is, he just got iced by Sniper right there. What do you think about the comments Shawn Michaels made?
Can you believe that? Shawn Michaels not looking too pleased. And I like the question, are you in cahoots with Bret Hitman Hart? What do you think?
I think anybody would have to be crazy to think that Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart would be in cahoots. I'll tell you what I think. I think Shawn Michaels helped Bret Hart win that belt on purpose so he can be the man to take it away from Bret. That's what I think, because I have a crooked mind.
Interesting theory,
I know how crooked people think.
Interesting theory. Here's Faust, knocked down from behind by Recon. Sniper back in control. Speaking of Shawn Michaels, what about Raw this week? The War Zone's going to be unbelievable. A rematch, Shawn Michaels and Mankind. Rematch of Mind Games.
That was one of the Match of the Year candidates, if not the Match of the Year last year, and this year I expect nothing different. Clothesline, clothesline, clothesline!
The Interrogator finishing up the triple team, and the Commandant loves what he sees. That was like an out-of-control subway train on that one.
I'll tell you what, these guys ain't no Hogan's Heroes. They have their thing together.
The Interrogator with a big elbow. Unbelievable.
Look at this Interrogator, 7 feet tall, got to go 325, 350 pounds, just immense and strong as a bull.
Oh! Faust in all kinds of trouble. He really needs to make a tag here.
He needs to. I think he needs to just pull his pants up. He knocked him right out of his clothing.
Wardrobe sort of like yours, Jim.
Hey, wait a minute. What's your belt size? 14? You look like you went to give blood and forgot to say when.
I'd rather be 14 than 44. Faust now being lifted up. Recon tossing him down in the canvas in the middle of the ring. Oh, man. Right across the sternum.
These guys are so quick, so agile, so fit, yet so big and so powerful. I'm anxious to see the Truth Commission against some top-flight competition here in the WWF, and I'm anxious to see it. So wait a minute, watch out!
Right in front of us.
Holy mackerel! Hey, Michael, I'm going to tell you what. If they throw these guys any harder, they're going to be clearing this table. In that case, you sit in front of me, okay?
Did you see the strength of Recon that time, tossing him out of the ring? There's the Sniper now, in control. There's Hill and Bigg trying to get Faust a little bit of momentum here.
There's wreckage everywhere around here.
Reporting next to me. Here now, Sniper working on George Faust.
His job's starting to get dangerous for you, Michael. More dangerous than you think.
Look at that, right in the middle of the back of George Faust. Truth Commission, they have been so impressive since coming to the World Wrestling Federation from South Africa, basically to beat the truth out of their opponents, according to the Commandant.
This guy has got welts and bruises all over him.
Now it's Recon in control. Faust into the corner. Recon misses a little quickness out of Mr. Faust, and he tags in Zoltan Bigg.
Thank God, let's see what this guy can do. He matches up size-wise. He's throwing them.
Look at this. Big right hand to Sniper. All three men now in the ring for the Truth Commission. Bigg misses with a clothesline. Look out. Oh! That's going to be it. Nobody's going to get up from this. The Interrogator hooks the leg. It's all over. The Truth Commission victorious on WWF New York.
The Truth Commission.
The Truth Commission, a win with authority. The Commandant has done his troops proud, but I tell you, I can hardly wait to see these guys against some top-flight competition. And, Michael, I believe that day is fast approaching.
I'll tell you what, they made their debut on Raw a couple of weeks ago, and they were impressive. And speaking about Raw,
he's going to have a rough time, Shawn Michaels is, getting out of Madison Square Garden on September 22nd when you figure Shawn versus The Undertaker versus Bret Hart in a triple threat match. That is going to be challenge enough.
And you add the WWF title to that. I mean, it is a wild situation. 1 week from this Monday in Madison Square Garden. Now we've got six-man tag team action here on WWF New York. The Truth Commission taking on Brian Taylor, Burt Keane, and Matt Duvall.
Boy, I'm going to tell you, these guys are drilled to a military precision by that man with the red beret, the Commandant. He has trained Recon, who is in the ring now. Sniper outside, and the Interrogator, that huge 7-foot giant. That's all they do is train 24 hours a day.
Great flexibility by Recon, who stands about 6'6", maybe 6'7". All these Truth Commission members are huge. They'll be on hand at Madison Square Garden 9 days from now. Monday night, September the 22nd. And Recon pretty much having his way in this six-man tag team matchup.
What I want to know is, will you be on hand? Because Steve Austin's going to be there. Steve Austin's going to be a lot of places. Are you going to go back around Steve Austin? What about Vince McMahon? The next time he and Austin will be in the same place is September 22nd.
Well, we both have jobs to do. That's what we're going to do. I wouldn't miss being in Madison Square Garden for anything in the world. And look at this 3-on-1 attack. This looks like a Central Park mugging here. Ooh, this guy would have more luck walking through Central Park with a $100 bill taped to his head. And there's a tag made.
Oh, I think the Truth Commission's going to be scared now. This guy looks like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber.
Well, I don't know how smart you are to sign a contest with this Truth Commission, who have yet to taste defeat here in the WWF, but that could change this Monday on Raw, James E.
Well, that's right, because they're going to be taking on the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, and I don't care what you say. The Road Warriors are still the measuring stick for tag team competition, but this Truth Commission has not yet even been touched. And I think they can match the Road Warriors size for size and strength for strength.
Nice suplex there. Look at that. There's the Interrogator. That's the Sniper in there. Sniper's 6'5", about 260, maybe 270. These guys are in excellent condition, but Sniper on that occasion couldn't connect with the elbow.
Boy, I tell you, all these guys across the way, Keane and Taylor and Duvall, they better just make sure that they keep Sniper and Recon away from the Interrogator. If that Jolly Green Giant comes in, their days are numbered.
Ooh. Spinning elbow by Sniper, and the Truth Commission certainly in control here. And a big sports weekend in the Big Apple. The Big Tunas team, the Jets, are going to take on his old team, the Patriots. James, I know you're a huge football fan.
Oh, just love it. Just can't get enough of it. That guy Parcells, he can't keep a job. He's coached every team in the world.
Recon now hammering away on Matt Duvall. Another hard right hand. And again, this Monday on Raw, the Truth Commission will be measured. Oh, my. And, there's a big monster. The Interrogator has been tagged in, and this man, who will compete in the big over-the-top rope battle royal at Madison Square Garden a week from Monday, is 7 feet, 350 pounds, and that's quite the sidewalk slam. And the Truth Commission remain undefeated here in the World Wrestling Federation.
The Truth Commission.
Well, I didn't take the Interrogator long. I would tell him anything he wants to know.
Very impressive outing for the Truth Commission, and they will make their first appearance ever in Madison Square Garden on Monday night, September the 22nd. And ladies and gentlemen, what a night it's going to be. Well, here comes the Truth Commission with the Jackal. That's the Jackal right there, who has supplanted the Commandant as the head honcho within the Truth Commission.
And wait till you get a load of this guy. I spent a couple of minutes talking to him, and he's sick.
Sniper and Recon.
Well, you got to wonder what's going to happen this Monday night on Raw. Is Stone Cold Steve Austin going to be fired by Vince McMahon? And Jamesy, if that does occur, which a lot of folks say will happen, what do you think Steve Austin's payback will be to the head honcho?
Well, let's put it this way. If he gave him the Stone Cold Stunner when Vince McMahon was trying to do Steve Austin a favor, then if McMahon fires him on national TV, I think Steve Austin might be liable to chew him up and eat him.
At a total combined weight of 590 pounds,
Crush and Chains representing the Disciples of Apocalypse to take on Sniper and Recon of the Truth Commission.
Boy, the DOA, some big, tough customers. They're going to have their hands full, especially if the interrogator gets involved in this one.
The interrogator, the 7-foot, wait a minute, on the outside, and we are off and running here. Phenomenal crowd on hand, and we're glad that you're with us here at WWF New York. And Chains just knocked down Recon.
Chains, unbelievable quickness for a man 280, 290. He can move. Look at him. He's sprinting across that ring. And he never tires out, JR.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. This matchup, I don't see how it can last very long with as big as these guys are and with this smash mouth style that we're seeing. Not going to be a technical masterpiece. And Crush again knocking down Recon, and thus far the Truth Commission has yet to be pinned in the WWF.
But boy, with the addition of this Jackal, it's going to be very interesting. I understand the Jackal was once booted out of the Truth Commission by the Commandant, and he came back to score a coup because the Jackal convinced these guys the Commandant was too military. Jackal doesn't believe in doing things by the book. He believes in doing them any way they need to be to get done. And I think that you can see that Jackal is a guy who definitely will talk a great fight as long as some other guys are willing to fight it.
Sniper now brought up for the pile driver by Crush. That could easily be it. 1, 2, and a near fall. Great crowd on hand, just as we expect we will have in the Nassau Coliseum on Friday night, October the 24th. The next live WWF event in the Tri-State area, Nassau Coliseum. There's a belly-to-belly suplex and a lateral press. And much to the man's credit, he's able to kick out, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to WWF New York. Sniper and Recon taking on Chains and Crush of the DOA. So it is a Truth Commission DOA tag team matchup here. And right now, Recon has Chains in trouble.
And boy, I'm amazed every time I see this Recon. He must have a 48-inch vertical leap. The guy's legs are like steel springs.
You know, you look at these 4 DOA members, and I believe they could take care of the New York Giant defensive line problems. Lateral press there by Recon.
Well, the people getting behind him, DOA.
We mentioned earlier, the next time the WWF's going to be in the Tri-State area will be in the Nassau Coliseum on Friday night, October the 24th, as you get a look at the Jackal. And, of course, we'll be back in the hallowed halls of Madison Square Garden on Saturday, November the 15th. Pretty good collision right there.
Both men down.
Trying to make it more impact than Al Sharpton in a buffet table.
Now that's impact.
And there's a tag made. And we got Crush in. And Sniper. Sniper's a big man. If Crush is 6'8", Sniper's got to be 6'5", maybe 6'6".
Well, right now he's only 12 inches tall because he's flat on his back on the mat, and Crush is cooking.
There's going to be some serious cooking going on pay-per-view from St. Louis, Missouri's Kiel Center. Folks, it's October the 5th, Sunday, October the 5th, and the Jackal interjecting himself here. The referee's called for the disqualification, and we've got a fight.
Boy, do we. We got a Donnybrook. We got a Pier Sixer. We've got a bench clearer. JR, they're fighting all over the place.
The DOA, they're gaining some dominance here. No one can get that 7-foot interrogator off his feet.
And you saw where the Jackal went. He went right to the interrogator when things got rough. And I don't think Commandant would have hugged the man like that.
The DOA may not be through. The DOA wants some more of the Truth Commission. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
640 pounds, 8 ball, and Steele.
8-Ball and Skull representing the Disciples of Apocalypse here on WWF New York. Thanks for being with us, everybody. And it will be the two members of the DOA meeting the 7-foot, well over 300-pound interrogator and the new, the new inspirational leader of the Truth Commission, the Jackal, in tag team action.
Boy, can DOA, these motorcycle fumes are killing me. Why don't they take the subway?
Too dangerous.
Even for them, I guess you're right. Boy, I was talking to this Jackal. This guy reminds me of one of those terrorists in a Bruce Willis movie. He is evil. He's not very big, but if these other giants like the Interrogator, Sniper, and Recon are listening to the Jackal, then we're all going to be in a lot of trouble.
Well, let's just say
some strange ideas about government. Let me put it that way.
The Jackal, who is not a large man, more in the light heavyweight category, but again, he is the leader of the Truth Commission. For some reason, starting it out here against Skull, and there's a kick right to the face, and the Jackal goes down.
Unless this is some kind of plan, I don't know why he would start. I don't know why he'd get in the ring at all. He does best when he's motivating his mouth and motivating other people. I don't think he's going to match up size-wise or strength-wise with the DOA.
The Jackal has some very unique political views from what we have heard, and is trying to round this Truth Commission into an even more impressive quartet now that he's involved. But I'll tell you what, by the looks of things, the Jackal may not be involved in this match too much longer. Sidewalk slam coming up, I believe so.
Corkscrew, he almost screwed him in the ground like a fence post.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, we're going to see what the DOA is made of in the Nassau Coliseum just 13 days from now. It's Friday night, October the 24th. It'll be an 8-man tag team matchup, the DOA versus the entire nation of domination. And, well, man, what a whip. But Jackal definitely moved out of the way, and now here comes the monster.
Here we go. This guy, if he ever went to a casting call for the next Frankenstein movie, he wouldn't even have to sit through makeup.
Look at the size of the neck on this guy.
What neck?
Well over 7 feet tall. Skull there is 6 feet 8. This is a bona fide, dangerous monster, the interrogator of the Truth Commission.
Look at the size of his hands. Look at it. You can almost not even call those things feet. They look like boats.
This guy must wear a size 20 wrestling boot. And he is no doubt the cornerstone physically of the Truth Commission. And right now, you don't see too many people manhandle Skull or 8-Ball, or for that matter, anybody in the DOA, as we are seeing right here.
I haven't seen it yet, but now the interrogator has softened him up and makes the tag again to the Jackal, who comes off the top.
I'll tell you what, I can't wait. WWF Live, Nassau Coliseum, there's a choke. Stone Cold Steve Austin's going to be back in town with Dude Love, Long Island's own Dude Love, in a Long Island street fight against Owen Hart and the British Bulldog, and there ain't no way the WWF is going to sanction that matchup on Friday night, October 24th.
That's right. They said they're not responsible for what happens. It's going to take place, but they can't be sued. The WWF can't be held responsible if anybody gets hurt.
Ooh! Knee drop right to the sternum by the Jackal, now going for the cover. And by the way, great seats are still available for that big event in the Nassau Coliseum at all Ticketmaster outlets, including the Coliseum box office.
What about the big main event for the WWF title, The Undertaker against Bret Hart?
Man, that's going to be huge. Great lineup, and nobody home from the knee drop. The Jackal now desperately needs to make a tag.
And he does.
Skull tags in 8-Ball, and here comes the monster. And even with a head of steam, Skull has been unable to take the interrogator off this monster's feet.
Nobody has been able to handle the interrogator, and he's just booting him right and left. The referee wait a minute.
The big man has snapped. The big man snapped. Down goes the referee. That'll be a disqualification, but I don't think that the interrogator cares.
There goes Skull and 8-Ball over the top rope.
As a result of a disqualification,
the interrogator's teammates, Recon and Sniper, in to try to calm down this huge man.
Be a good idea as far as I'm concerned to get him the heck on out of here. This job's getting more and more dangerous, JR.
Well, ladies and Well, there you see the interrogator along with the jackal, and the jackal certainly doesn't look like he's ready for combat, James.
Well, it is Jackal and Interrogator scheduling the tag team match against Dave Dalton and Larry Brunn. It doesn't appear like Jackal is too anxious to get involved. Boy, what a guy. What a bizarre individual. Don't drink the Kool-Aid from this guy.
Yeah, really. Is he Jim Jones? Is he David Koresh? And good grief, he's headed our way.
Well, hello, how you doing, Jackal?
Back again, JC.
I'm beginning to feel so honored. You always pick the chair next to me and never pick the chair next to JR.
I feel that's a bit of my good fortune. I'd just like to say what a great opportunity for me to address the great wretched refuse out there who no doubt right now are turning up the volumes on their TV set to hear the verbal honey ooze from my mouth one more time.
How come you're not in your wrestling tights and teaming with this interrogator? That's what this match is
I was going to bring up a point here that you are actually a participant in this match. You're his partner. You're supposed to be wrestling.
That may be true, but like lambs to the slaughter, I have to look on these two poor sinners right here and say, I have to have some mercy. If I were in there, it would be even more devastating than it's already going to be.
The interrogator, who stands 7 feet tall, ladies and gentlemen, well over 350 pounds, and he has been one of the most dominant new forces to come along in the World Wrestling Federation in perhaps a decade.
JR, the only thing standing between the WWF and an insurance litigation disaster thus far has been myself. It is I who keep the shackles of restraint on the Big G, the interrogator, because the day that he snaps, that I allow that to happen, there will be blood in the streets.
Well, two things I got to ask you. Number one, please keep it, if you're going to have any of that verbal honey oozing, please keep it over there on that side of the desk. And secondly...
You might like the way it tastes, JC.
Yeah, it probably would.
What is your... Wait a minute, look at this guy. Both these men trying to take the interrogator down. What is your relationship with these men on a personal basis? Do you call them friends? Are they followers?
They're
what
apostles,
are they to you?
is what they are to me. They are my apostles, my disciples, my followers. They are my true believers.
Oh! Double knocker there on Dalton and Brunn by the interrogator, who has been completely dominant here. This has been very little more than obviously a handicap matchup. This interrogator, who wears a size 19 boot, as a matter of fact, one of the biggest, most powerful men, and he's in great physical condition, James E.
Well, look at that. I mean, you know, the huge neck, you can barely tell where his head stops and his neck starts. It's the same width. The tremendous upper body development. And wait a minute, he better watch out. He needs eyes in the back of his head. Ooh.
It's like playing catch at the park, Jim Cornette.
With ease, the interrogator catches Dalton coming off the top rope like Dalton was Max Mini.
I've said it before, the interrogator is the biggest man in the World Wrestling Federation. He fears only one thing, and that is to look into my eyes and see disappointment.
Why would a man 7 feet tall look into your eyes, see disappointment, and be scared?
The fact is that most humans use less than 4% of their brain capacity. I'm clearly in the 99th percentile. My hold over them is simply through the spoken word, because they believe.
I often wonder, too, if they're getting all the money that they're earning.
You're obsessed with money.
Uh-oh, look at this.
JR, there you go once
Look at
again.
this power. A double sidewalk slam. I have never seen that before.
I have to go and fulfill a prophecy, JR. Thank you very much.
There he goes.
Oh, thank you. It's
Right when you get work.
Been wonderful. Hey, don't question this man's income tax returns about where the money is going, because I don't want to find out what happens if he gets audited because of you and me.
Well, now look at the jackal now. He wants to make a tag after the 7-foot monster has done the damage with a double sidewalk slam.
And Jackal, what is he doing? He's going down. He's going to cover both of them, one hand apiece. And Dalton and Brunn glad to get that over with.
Here are your winners.
Jackal gets the victory.
Of the Jackal and the Interrogator.
And pleased about it.
I'm telling you one thing. This jackal is a dangerous man, and so's that monster.
Well, Jackal's a thoroughly dangerous man mentally, and the interrogator is dangerous physically. Interrogator set him up, and Jackal finished him off. And JR, you threw some speedball questions, some really hard questions, at the WWF CEO Vince McMahon last week. Let's go back and take a look at that interview.
Heinous acts by that father and son duo, and Jerry Lawler will battle Taka this Monday on Raw.
It's scheduled for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Approaching the ring at a total the Headbangers.
Couple of your faves right there, James E.
Well, they're former tag team champions. Tremendous teamwork is the hallmark of the Headbangers. It's going to be interesting to see how they compete with Sniper and Recon from the Truth Commission, because after all, the Jackal is their spiritual leader.
And their opponents, accompanied to ringside by the Jackal, at a total combined weight of 568 pounds, the team of Recon and Sniper, the Truth Commission.
Almost a sociopathic Tony Robbins.
Look at this guy. It's just the love and benevolence for everyone that he has is spread all over his face. He's the kind of guy that would stab his mother in the back and then have her arrested for carrying a concealed weapon.
While the Jackal, of course, is the emotional hot button involved in the Truth Commission, you cannot deny the physical skills of Recon and Sniper. What about Kurgan, the 7-foot, 350-plus pound monster who has been reformed, I think, mainly by the Jackal's creative mind?
Well, you see Sniper and Recon there with the T on their foreheads. It stands for truth. Always tell the truth, according to the Jackal, and he has told the truth about Kurgan, the interrogator. He has taken him out of the team of the Truth Commission, concentrating on singles matches. And this guy's a freak of nature, and it's scary to me what kind of control that the Jackal has over Kurgan.
Crossbody, 2 count, strong kick out though by Recon. Bringing up the left arm is Mosh of the Headbangers. Tag now made. Here comes Thrasher.
They're going to have to use tremendous teamwork, which they are already. Look at this beautiful double kick and double board buster. They're going to have to use great teamwork to counteract the size difference with the Truth Commission. But this Recon, I'll tell you what, he is fast.
Certainly is. A man over 300 pounds, a tremendous high flyer. Mexican arm drag there. And the Headbangers are going to need to take some liberties, I think, with the 5 count. Stretch that 5 count as long as they can anytime a tag is made. Irish whip across. Head of steam. Follows in with a clothesline. And Recon on the receiving end, Jim. And I'm sure that this is not sitting well with the Jackal.
Ooh, I tell you. He hit it. Wait a minute. 360. Dosey-doed him and clotheslined him right out of his boots. And you see the Jackal at ringside. I can see him from my vantage point. He is really smiling at that one.
Tag made. Here comes Sniper. Jackal says that the team of Recon and Sniper came to him in Madison Square Garden, and they were basically down on their luck, needing guidance, and they do everything that they can to try to please the leader of the Truth Commission.
Yeah, I wonder if they came to him or if he went to them. Jackal is the kind of guy who goes to someone who has a weakness, who has an insecurity, who has a need for something, and he capitalizes on that. He exploits that. Charles Manson did the same thing.
Well, you saw the way he treated Kurgan, for example, this past Monday on Raw. As the claw was applied, the bell had been sounded. In fact, the decision was reversed. Jackal comes in and smacks Kurgan right across the face. I mean, is that any way to try to motivate his man?
And then Kurgan laughed about it. Once he saw Jackal was laughing, that is.
Drop of the elbow. This is a very physical tag team contest, folks. It's the Headbangers against Recon and Sniper.
Well, let's rock, Duvall. The official WWF action figures with bone-crunching action.
So these girls want a slam dance?
Well... what a rush! Buried alive gift set from Jax, only at Target.
Welcome back, everyone, to WWF New York. Tag team action continues, and Recon has Mosh of the Headbangers in a world of hurt.
Hurricanrana from the top rope. Can you believe it? From a guy the size of Recon. And the first thing he does is look to the Jackal at ringside for support.
I'm Kevin Kelly, Jim Cornette here, Jim Ross on vacation, 2 and almost a 3.
But I talked to JR's lawyer. He'll be back next week with time served.
Stop it.
Sorry, Murr.
Recon and Sniper double teaming now. Referee Tim White.
That's the mark of a good tag team. They're going to do everything they can behind the referee's back, and they're going to double up whenever possible.
Folks, later on in the show, we will have for you the Undertaker in action, as well as the footage from what happened this past Monday on Raw, Rocky Maivia becoming the Intercontinental Champion. Plus, we'll show you the exclusive footage of what happened involving Stone Cold, Vince, and The Rock when Raw went off the air.
I think Vince McMahon has gone too far lately. He's made some decisions, a lot of them controversial. Some of them I don't agree with. But when you got a guy like Vince McMahon, who is used to everybody doing what he says, and then a guy like Steve Austin, who's not used to doing what anybody says, you're gonna have trouble.
Conflicts abound following Raw this past Monday. Recon and Sniper in control of the action here on WWF New York.
Recon slips in with that front face lock. He's grounded the man, trying to keep Mosh from making the tag to Thrash.
Of course, the Jackal at ringside, I'm sure pleased with the performance of his team so far.
You know, sometimes I think he's just as pleased when the Truth Commission gets beat up, because it's not him. I think he just enjoys forcing these men to do things. Wait a minute. The Sniper drew the referee, so he didn't see the tag.
And now Recon and Sniper able to seize on this opportunity, pounding away in the corner.
Mosh is in a world of trouble. And he has got to make that tag to Thrasher, because the Truth Commission, like a pack of hungry wolves, have cut that sheep off from the flock. And he needs to get the flock out of there.
Recon and Sniper, great physical team. Mix of high flying and straight vertical suplex really drove him down with emphasis. And look at this. 320 pounds on the top rope, Jim.
He's 3/4 of the way across the ring. Mosh sidestepped him.
Perhaps a mistake in the opening now that Mosh needs.
Now Mosh has got to get the tag before Recon does. Recon's got the tag to Sniper.
Look like Sniper hooked his toe coming into the ring, and now, ooh, the door is open. Thrasher's walked through with a series of right hands. Nice drop kick.
Now it's Thrasher and Mosh in the ring with Recon alone. They're going to set him up for a double team.
Full slam right in the center of the ring. And watch this.
What are they doing?
Oh!
Tremendous tag team maneuver. And now it looks like they're going to set up for the stage dive.
These guys are innovators, let me tell you. Going for the stage dive, ending it all here. Sniper's in.
Hits those ropes, then he hits Mosh. Here comes Thrasher. This thing is broken down. All four guys are in the ring.
Tim White trying to restore order, having absolutely no luck.
He's waved it off. The referee has waved it off. I think it must be a double disqualification.
I think Sniper has an opportunity. Wait a second. Mosh coming out of his skirt on the far side.
He's come right out of his bloomers. He's ready to fight.
Tim White called for the bell, but this fight isn't over.
Ooh. Sniper down, Recon staggered.
Hit a Steve off the ropes.
Down goes Recon and out. The Headbangers are standing tall and ready to go in that ring, and the Jackal looks like he's waving the troops off.
Well, referee Tim White had no choice but to throw this contest out, a double disqualification. Nothing settled, though, between these two terrific tag teams.
Well, the Truth Commission will live to fight another day, and the Jackal may have very well done just that. But the Jackal making his mark here in the WWF. The Headbangers once again, former champions and on the path back to the title.
Still to come. Welcome back to Shotgun. Michael Cole and Kevin Kelly. The Truth Commission heading to the ring for a matchup. My New Year's resolution to win that Stone Cold truck.
Yeah, good luck. I understand you're wearing out the phone at your house.
Accompanied by the Jackal at a total combined weight of 556 pounds, Recon Sniper, the Truth Commission.
The Jackal, the leader of the Truth Commission.
I'll tell you what, I'm Catholic. We have Ash Wednesday. I don't think that's anything like that. It's a lot more sinister, I think.
Recon and Sniper from the Truth Commission set for action, tag team action this week. Of course, led by the Jackal, once again placing a bead on a member of the audience. I guess it's a bead.
Well, I'm interested in the symbolism of what that exactly means. Perhaps we'll have the opportunity to speak to the Jackal about this. Sir, if you don't mind.
We're hoping to get a word with the Jackal as Recon and Sniper get set for action this week against the new Blackjacks. This is going to be a war.
Coming down the aisle from the state of Texas at a total combined weight of 582 pounds, with the Bradshaw, the new Blackjacks.
We're joined now at ringside by the Jackal, and First off, Mr. Jackal, thanks for joining us. The question we had, we were discussing the how you place, I guess it's a bead under the forehead of a member of the audience. You did it last week and now again this week. What is the symbolism of that?
I find a young, worthy female in the audience, and you know, with me, it's all about intellectual intercourse, and we know that it feels good because I have got the biggest mind in the World Wrestling Federation.
Well, Jackal, be that as it may, with your innuendo and all, how would you rate this matchup with Recon and Sniper going after the new Blackjacks? Certainly two very even teams.
You know, I'm not some throwback to the 1970s. I'm not going to sit out here and tell you that the Blackjacks are a bad tag team or anything like that. Quite to the contrary. Blackjack Bradshaw, probably one of the toughest men in the World Wrestling Federation today. And, of course, Blackjack Wyndham, his credentials speak for themselves. They're a fabulous tag team. It's a great test for Recon and Sniper.
Blackjack Wyndham, of course, starting action off against Recon as usual. The Truth Commission impressive as of late. Recon now backs Blackjack Bradshaw into the ropes. Off the ropes now, big takedown by the 6'8" Blackjack Bradshaw.
We're talking about four big men, which brings me to an event that's coming up, the annual Royal Rumble.
That's right, January 18th.
And I said that I would come forth with another revelation. My revelation is something that is going to shock the world, and that is that a man is coming to the Royal Rumble. He is the biggest man on the planet. He is the biggest, most insane individual in the World Wrestling Federation, and he is none other than Kurgan, gentlemen, in the Royal Rumble.
He will be a part of the Royal Rumble January 18th in San Jose.
To quote a little bit of Latin, Malleus Maleficorum, the hammer of evil doing is coming.
Speaking of hammering, Justin Bradshaw now hammering away at Recon.
Yeah, some evil doing as well. A big chop and a boot to the corner.
And there's the big boot now to the face of Recon. Bradshaw in control. Whips Recon. Oh, look at this. What power from Blackjack Bradshaw. Where is Kurgan this week? Conspicuous by his absence.
Kurgan is always nearby. He is a man who is here to do my bidding. You see, I'm the political arm of the Truth Commission, and sometimes I need to drop the hammer. And tonight, the hammer may drop this week, and it may not.
Well, the Blackjacks are really taking it to your team so far. Are you in the least bit concerned?
Look out now, Wyndham with a big drop kick.
You know what? It doesn't concern me whatsoever because these men are willing to do anything to make me happy. I really don't care if Recon here gets injured in this match or not. What I care about is that they're out there making the money for this big tag team match and doing my bidding.
Blackjack Wyndham with a big power move that time. Excuse me, Kevin, as he slams Recon into the center of the ring. Recon really needs to make a tag here.
Recon is a guy who came to me 3 months ago and told me that all he wanted was to be a star, and he'd be willing to do anything to accomplish that.
There's a cover now. There's two.
And this is all part of it. Laying your life, if necessary, on the line.
Talk about your spirituality, if you can, for a moment. Where exactly did you go to some kind of theology school? Were you schooled in some kind of ministerial training?
Kevin Kelly, I've stated before, I don't wish to talk about the man that I was. I like to talk about the man that I have become.
Here's a cover now by Bradshaw. There's two, but Recon slips out.
Quite clearly, I am the most intelligent man in the World Wrestling Federation. Quite clearly, I'm capable of doing any job in the World Wrestling Federation, including yours if I so see fit.
Blackjack Bradshaw now whips Recon across the ring. There's the big boot. Recon is in trouble.
Boy, Recon has been just taking a beating, Michael, from the opening bell, unable to even make one tag.
The Blackjack's in control. Now Recon into the big boot of Blackjack Wyndham. And here comes the veteran of the Blackjacks. Wyndham, of course, the son of former WWF Tag Team Champion Blackjack Mulligan.
Barry Wyndham is a phenomenal athlete for a man that size. Unbelievable.
Only one that time. Speaking of Mr. Kurgan, we were talking about him before, Kurgan the Interrogator. What is the symbolism, I guess, the way you control the man with that evil slap?
It's not an evil slap whatsoever. I have a way of getting my message across to Kurgan. He's clearly a man of few words. The only hold I have over Kurgan is that everything I do, everything I promised him has come to pass.
Here's a cover now by Wyndham, only two before Sniper kicks out.
Certainly the new Blackjacks, fresh off a tour of Japan, which was an enormous success, are looking tremendous here this week on Shotgun, and some tense looks on the faces of Recon and Sniper.
I know that you and the rest of the announcers in the World Wrestling Federation would like to put a gag on me, but let me tell you something. Life is an incurable disease, and so am I, as far as the WWF is concerned.
High impact move there. Now the cover. Two, but Wyndham kicks out. Folks, the Raw magazine hit the stands this week. A tremendous demand for both Sonny and Sable on their own unique covers of the Raw magazine, which is now monthly. And following the embarrassing situation perpetrated by Marvelous Mark Merrow, he and Tom Brandi will battle one-on-one this week on Raw, and I'm sure Sable will be a very interested partner.
I must admit that since you did take over control of this team, they've showed a much more aggressive attitude in the ring. But that time, Wyndham makes the tag now to Bradshaw, and look out, here comes the big man from Texas. Big right hand. Whoa. Sniper off the apron of the ring. Bradshaw now in control of Recon. Whips him across the ring. The big drop kick.
Perhaps no tougher man pound for pound, though, in the World Wrestling Federation, Blackjack Bradshaw.
Look at the punishment that Recon is willing to take to make him happy.
How much more of this can he take?
As much as he needs to.
Bradshaw now off the ropes. Here he comes. Big lariat.
That's it.
This should be it. It's over. Here's the cover, but a save by Sniper. Now all 4 men are in the ring.
Not for long, though.
Double team upcoming now by the new Blackjacks. Your man is in trouble, Mr. Jackal. Oh no, there goes the Jackal. Here's the double team. This one should be over. Where's he going?
He's going right in.
No. And look what's coming down the ramp. Kurgan the interrogator, the 7-foot, 350-pound monster heading to the ring.
Jackal's best offensive weapon right now could be his tennis shoes. He needs to get on his bicycle. Watch out from behind.
Look out now. Oh no. Bradshaw tried to take control of Kurgan. He was hit by Sniper from behind.
Look at this man.
Oh no, the paralyzer. Kurgan has the paralyzer on Blackjack Wyndham.
A page in the legend of the Blackjacks is the claw, but perhaps no version of the claw is more devastating than the paralyzer, and Wyndham may perish at Kurgan's hand.
The Jackal trying to get Kurgan off Blackjack Wyndham. What's going to happen if Kurgan the interrogator clamps the paralyzer on any one of the 29 other superstars who will be involved in the Royal Rumble?
Who can stop Kurgan?
Maybe Jackal, the only one.
I think Jackal is going to unleash Kurgan at the Royal Rumble in 2 weeks on pay-per-view. And no matter whether it's Steve Austin, Ken Shamrock, anybody, it could be a long night with Kurgan involved.
The new Blackjacks victorious as the result of the disqualification. What a battle with the Truth Commission. Jackal leading the troops back to the locker room area. Folks, let's head down a slam jam. Here's Doc Hendricks.
Well, JR, it's pretty clear whose side Iron Mike Tyson is on, but I gotta wonder why the WWF is still allowing him to be the enforcer in the title match, knowing that he's prejudiced.
Well, I'll tell you, as this Four Corners Tag Team match gets set to go, I know for a fact that WWF officials and lawyers spent many, many hours reviewing the situation. The bottom line is, James C., is that Tyson has an ironclad contract. There is no maneuverability. There's no more room for negotiation. Tyson is locked in to be the enforcer at WrestleMania in 2 weeks when Michaels defends the WWF title against Stone Cold Steve Austin. And is it fair for Austin? Absolutely not. It's totally unfair.
Boy, you talk about buying off a judge. I can't imagine that Stone Cold Steve Austin has a prayer of winning that championship with Iron Mike Tyson standing there at ringside, much less having to go through Shawn Michaels, who I think has been doing some screwy things. He knows Tyson's on his side. Why does he keep instigating? Why does he keep stirring Austin up with these super kicks and these other maneuvers? He knows he's got Tyson on his side. Why didn't he just lay low?
Because he is getting inside Austin's head. And we'll talk more about that later here tonight. This is a very interesting matchup. A Four Corners tag team matchup. 4 teams. 2 teams representing the Boricuas. There you see the leader of the Boricuas, Savio Vega, and Jose. There's Miguel and Jesus. This is a 4-team tag match, James E. Rather unique.
That's right. A tag can be made to any man. You don't have to just tag your partner. And whoever scores the pinfall first wins for their team. It's going to be interesting seeing the Boricuas compete against each other as well as against DOA and Sniper and Recon.
Nice prelude to the 15-team Battle Royal. A first for WrestleMania. A couple of weeks from now on pay-per-view. Savio and Jose. Well, there's a tag. Jose tagging in, I think that's Skull.
Well, like I said, you don't have to tag your partner at Skull now. Open up on Savio. Jose didn't want to fight Savio necessarily, but they have to because the rules this match, same thing in that Battle Royal. It's going to be a lot of friends fighting each other because the winning team gets a shot at the Tag Team Championship. That's what everybody wants. And now, Recon being tagged in. And look, Skull just tagged in Miguel. This thing is a fire drill.
Miguel and Recon in this four-team tag match. And remember, 15 teams, 30 men in the ring at one time at WrestleMania. The 15-team tag match 2 weeks from now from the sold-out Fleet Center in Boston.
Oh, my gosh. Right on his head almost. I'll tell you, the strategy in this match is real simple. Stay out of the ring whenever you can unless you think you've got your opponent weakened, and then go for a quick pin. Whoever gets the pin is going to win the whole thing.
Hard clothesline knockdown by Miguel. Recon's in trouble, folks. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to Shotgun Saturday Night. Jim Ross and James E. Cornette at ringside. We have a four-team tag match in progress. The Truth Commission, 2 teams of Boricuas, and the DOA, Skull and 8-Ball, in this very unique competition.
And look at this movement from Jesus and Sniper. Sniper coming out on top. Boy, this Sniper and Recon team, they really want to prove themselves. They would love to win this thing because their situation with the Jackal has been unfriendly and controversial at best here lately. They'd like to show something on their own.
Nice elevation there by Sniper on Jesus. Man, what an announcement this weekend. More big news regarding WrestleMania. A dumpster situation, a dumpster stipulation in the WWF tag match. What's that all about?
Well, I don't know. All I know is that when Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie meet Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, there's going to be a dumpster parked at ringside. That's all the details we've been able to get so far. I don't know how you win the match or what you can do with a dumpster besides run somebody's head into it, but we're going to find that out upcoming maybe this Tuesday on the St. Patrick's Day Raw edition.
That's on USA at 9/8 Central this Tuesday night. And the teammates, Savio Vega and the spirited young Jose in there. Spinebuster takedown. And look at Jose doing a number on Savio Vega.
Hey, they were wrestling before, but now they're fighting.
Spinning heel kick by Savio. And, oh, look who's here. It's the Jackal and the 7-footer Kurgan. And the Jackal is motioning for someone.
Boy, there's heat between the Boricuas already. Sniper just got tagged in along with 8-Ball. And what's Recon doing down there?
Recon is down with the Jackal and Kurgan, leaving Sniper by himself. And
hey, Baldy, your partner is back here getting his brains beat out. He's following Jackal out like a sheep.
And that's going to leave Sniper all alone. Sniper needs to make a tag, James, and we got a little action here with the Boricuas.
Well, he's doing pretty good right now, Sniper is. Well, I spoke too soon. He needs to tag, and he's going to have to tag somebody else besides his partner, and the Boricuas. This thing is melting down.
2 300-pounders delivering the DDT. That's got to be all, and it is. The DOA win this 4-team tag match.
Well, there's some problems between Savio and Miguel and Jesus and Jose. Recon bailed out on Sniper at Jackal's urging, and DOA came out on top of this thing when they dropped the man on his head.
Certainly an interesting preview to the 15-team Battle Royal at WrestleMania.
Hey, add 11 more teams to a mess like this and see what you'll get. Holy mackerel.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we saw the Jackal.